Welcome to Marion Matters with Mayor Morrell. So glad that you're joining us. We talk about all things pertaining to the city of Marion, and today we are going to be talking about a very important, very significant topic. It has to do with Indiana legislature and the impacts that it's going to potentially bring then to our local community right here in Marion, Indiana. Joining me here is the mayor of Marion, Indiana, Mayor Morrell Jr., and we are so thankful that you are here to help us understand the ramifications of Indiana Senate Bill 1.
Yes.
That's a hot topic.
It very much is, and I guess I'll start off by saying that we want to do everything we can to be able to save our citizens money, and we want to champion that. In this specific bill for the city of Marion, it's harmed us actually as one of the worst in the state. So it's a long story short, without getting into the weeds of the bill, because it's probably 1,000 pages long,
right.
But just only focus on how it affects us. So just starting next year, we already lost $1 million of revenue for the city, and in 2028, when the real changes happen, we are projected to lose $9 million.
Oh my goodness.
From a city with our budget, from a round numbers perspective, is $33 million. Cutting $9 million is roughly a third of our budget, and that will touch everyone from all of our public safety to our normal everyday employees, to our street department, to our transportation, to our parks department. Every single part of the city will be affected by the reduction. And this is why it's just a tightrope, as we talked about, because you want people to be able to save money on property taxes, and you see different families struggling for different reasons.
Right.
And so it's a tightrope for us to walk, because we want people to save money, have more money in your pocket. But it's the trade-off is, are you willing to? I believe the average for the state is everyone will save $200. So we have to ask ourselves, that $200 saving is going to be worth losing, 10 police officers, 10 firemen, 10,
Right.
So it's a tough balancing act. And again, we're in the weeds on it, and it's a challenge for everyone. So we're trying to do the best we can to figure out how to move forward.
So that is a wonderful, powerful opening to the program. And so now I think, folks, as you're watching, your attention is now focused in here, because you just heard those are some serious numbers that we're looking at potentially losing in our local community. And so, Mayor, let's first jump back real quick for folks who may not be even aware of Senate Bill 1, Indiana Senate Bill 1, that is the goal of that bill is to provide property tax relief.
Correct.
And that bill effectively restructures how your local income tax is going to be handled.
Yes. So both of those things. So our property taxes, local government is funded by two things: property taxes, which are concentrated property relief, completely controlled by the state. So we, as a local municipality, have no control over raising or lowering property taxes. Right. So the state has that lever to pull whichever way they want to do it. Local income tax, under our current setup, is a county initiative. So the city of Marion, being the county seat, has the majority of the say-so, but you have to combine ourselves with either Gas City or the county itself to be able to do anything with our local income tax. That's how our current structure is set up. Now, with the passing of Senate Bill 1, that current structure goes away. And so now the city of Marion has the ability to levy its own individual local income tax. And so all the other ones that we have expired, but the state still has control and didn't relinquish control over property taxes.
So there's relief from property tax burden provided by the state, but effectively then the burden for that revenue that the city and the local municipalities are going to be losing, that's been shifted to the local municipalities, the cities, et cetera, to figure out how they're going to make up the difference, whether it's in cutting services or implementing local income tax.
Right. So one of the things that the state says, they wanted to give us more local control over these kind of things, and I really respect them for taking that approach. So now what happens is that in turn ends up making us have to be the bad guys or the trigger people in these specific situations. So just to make it raw numbers, so the city of Marion has the ability to be able to pass a 1.2% local income tax, which, by the way, right now under our current structure, you pay 2.55%.
Right.
So everybody's going to be lower, but what's going to happen is the cities have to pass that local income tax, mind you, every single year. So we have to go back and pass the 1.2% local income tax. So now, at its max possible levy, at 1.2%, instead of losing $9 million, the city will only lose 1.5 million. So we're still not going to be where we are now. We're going to be less. So one of the things that the state did and on their effort is try to say under transparency that we want you to pass this local income tax, not just once, but you have to do it every single year. So that 1.2% will be heard, or that's the max. It could be less than that.
So that's the cap.
That's the cap, right? And that can be heard. That will not can be. It has to be heard every single year before the city council and the public hearing and all those things like that. So one of the things that I'm most concerned about is if the council decides not to pass any type of local income tax, that will, as a result, cripple the city. So I mean, again, cutting $9 million out of it. I mean, just take it from your house. If you whatever you make personally, cut it by 30%,
right,
and then still try to function. I mean, it's virtually that would make a lot of people homeless. Because that's a big chunk of your budget. So there has to be some kind of adjustments, and even from a mayoral standpoint, we're making some cuts, and there are cuts we can make, and we're already making. One thing that is really the most devastating right now is us not being able to give raises to our employees, and specifically our four unions, which is transportation, street department, police, and fire. That's been a devastating thing for news for them to hear this week. But we are looking at cuts and have been making cuts, but there's no feasible way to make $9 million worth of cuts.
Right.
So there has to be some kind of adjustments that's going to be considered by the city council.
So there's this strong likelihood then that city council and likely your county as well, they're going to be visiting the idea of instituting
100%. So now the county is also capped at the 1.2% as well.
Okay.
So if the city does 1.2% and the county does 1.2%, that's now 2.4%, which is still 0.15% less than what it is right now.
Less than the 2.55 that we're currently doing.
Correct. Yes. So effectively, everyone, you're going to pay less taxes all around the board. But what the challenge is going to be is our city councilman and the county council as well is going to have to come forth in an election year and pass a tax, which is not fun.
No, it's not fun. It's not fun. It happens every year as well. Like you said, it's going to have to be revisited with the changed structure. So you then, so I'm going to just try to ask questions as if I was just somebody who's just wrapping their head around this for the first time. So for folks who are looking at our TIF districts, Marion a number of TIF districts, right? Which means that there's already a reduction in tax income revenue.
Yes, I'll talk about that. So that's one of the most complicated things I feel like in Indiana finance. So TIF stands for tax increment finance. So I'll use a popular one. So like when we have Dollar General distribution, how TIF works is the money that they were going to be paying in property taxes is still paid, but it's paid towards a financial institution that helped them build their facility. So had we not created them a TIF, they never would have came here, and that would have sacrificed those 700 jobs that are here. So that's why that mechanism is used, and not just in Marion, but all across the state of Indiana, and other states have that as well.
It's good incentive.
Yeah, so it's an incentive to be able to help attract new businesses here. So they're still paying, but for their 20-year lifespan is going towards the building that they've done. And then so the excess funds, so Dollar General performs really well, so the CIE. So the excess funds then comes into our redevelopment commission. And then you'll see from those excess funds how we're able to get a lot of those other projects done. So where the funding is coming from for us to be able to get a lot of the core projects you've seen is because the success of these businesses that is then flowing through our redevelopment commission. Now we have excess capital that can only be used for projects. So for example, I can't use the money coming in for that for general obligation spending. The intentions for those funds is to be able to be used to create more revenue and more projects. So that's how those work. So I don't want to interrupt you, but that's TIF. So now
no, I'm still thinking you took that exactly the direction that I was wanting to go. So we'll check that box. We've talked about that. You have large nonprofit entities organizations that exist within Marion and Grant County, and being nonprofits, property tax wise. You see a loss in potential income from those scenarios as well. So Marion and in Grant County, but Marion as a whole already, because we have so many TIF districts, because part of it's a love-hate kind of thing. The TIF district creates a wonderful opportunity to bring incentive for new business and growth to come in, new jobs, etc. But if you don't wield it carefully, you can put yourself into a...
Well, you're not getting any property taxes, yes.
Exactly. So from the perspective of the state changing the way that local municipalities can seek revenue streams, being income tax, potentially could we see, but you were just talking about the caps, I know we were just talking about. So for folks that are thinking, well, this is going to be fine, we switched the revenue based on income because we're bringing in new jobs. So we've been losing out money, so to speak, in TIF and in the nonprofit conglomerations. But really, what you were just saying earlier about a cap of 1.2% for the city and a 1.2% cap for the county, it's still under the 2.55 that the county is seeing.
Yes, it's still less than what everyone is paying now, but what's going to happen is the perception is that we're passing new taxes. So anytime that happens, even though it's less than what you're currently paying, the idea and the perception is, oh, the city is just taxing us to death. So what my mission is to be able to get that information out there correctly to say, hey, while this will have to be a consideration for a new tax, and I don't know which direction the council is going to go with this, but it'll be a consideration for a new tax, but it's still going to be less than what you're currently paying right now. So again, one of the best things about this is it is going to save people money. One of the worst things about it is, one, we'll have to pass a tax every year, and then two, there's going to have to be some severe cuts if no taxes are considered.
Ratio of income earners to property owners.
Now that would be good data. So I don't have that, but I'm sure it's lopsided.
I was wondering, right? So that's going to be some good information to have. And I'm thinking about your role where you sit on the national council. Is it the NLC?
National League of Cities.
National League of Cities, and you sit specifically on the leadership board for the small cities, right, throughout the nation. And I'm wondering, do you have any insights? Have you seen this happen in other communities? I'm thinking specifically of one community in Kentucky, Owensboro, Kentucky, where they have both a county and a city income tax. And the rates are different. Right. And just depends on where you live, what part of the community you live, Annex Way, city limit versus county. From your experience, right now, you're halfway through your one-year term on that board. What insights can you bring to us from that?
Yeah, so we haven't met and talked about this yet, but I will say that a lot of states that I'm hearing are considering the adjustment of property taxes or the complete elimination of property taxes like you've seen in Florida. But I'm not too educated on that, but I'll speak kind of from a high level. What they've done is that they're working towards eliminating property taxes, but then they change it by making the sales tax go really high.
There you go.
So I think that the best way to communicate is that this is not a, while it does appear and come across as a way to save money for our citizens, it's a bucket shift of money.
It is.
And it's a bucket shift of responsibility and blame from somebody else. So I think that while again from our office we're doing everything we can to be, just from highlights, from 2020 to 2023, the city passed a budget upside down $2 million, which means that we had to spend out of our savings account to make do. So the first year of this administration, we came in and made cuts and adjustments to where we passed a balanced budget. Now the budget was balanced in the black by only $1,000. So if we're running a very tight ship already, and we come and say, "Hi, now you have to cut $9 million," it doesn't work, right? So. Again, we're all going to be faced with very tough decisions and tough calls, and I commend everyone who has to make tough calls like this. So we're going to. I think I'll say this as well. One of the things that the messaging from the state down was that we need to tighten our belts and trim. Well, from the city of Marion, we know for a long history now we've been tight and trim as almost we can get.
Yes.
So now we got to figure out how to make this work and make it work for everyone in the city.
plans for adapting to this? I know this is all very fresh and new, but I also know that there's been a lot of pushback that this bill has received when it was in review between the House and Senate. So I know schools, for example, schools there were teachers unions that went in and protested the. Can you provide any insight into impact on local public schools?
Local schools, yeah. So one thing that the city has that the school doesn't have, the school doesn't have the ability to be able to levy or create any other kind of taxes unless they do like a referendum, which goes on the ballot. So the hit that they're going to take, speaking of Marion Community Schools specifically, but every school in our county, I think the last stat I saw, they're going to lose between $3.5 to $4 million over the next couple of years, which is, again, devastating for our schools, and they're going to have to just accept that and take it. So I've heard rumblings that this so they have two more budget sides. So they have the session in next year and the session in 2027, where they still have the ability to make some kind of adjustments to the bill from a state level before the big cliff fall happens, which is 2028. So I've heard rumblings, promises, rumors, all those things that they're going to come and make some adjustment to it. But you never know. So that's why, to be conservative as possible from our city perspective, we kind of just froze things for now and see where they land. And as I've talked to other mayors in different parts of the state, some people are doing hiring freezes and all kind of things. We just don't know. The dust hasn't completely settled yet. So I mean, one of the this just happened and went into effect July 1st. So everybody's scrambling. Here we are 2 months later, still trying to scramble and get, something nailed down. And, property taxes, the city does everything in estimates, people don't understand. So, just because you are supposed to pay property tax, everyone doesn't.
Right. So, not everybody actually pays their bill, right? Sometimes they defer that.
So there's all kinds of, so we work on projections and estimates. So, assuming that everyone pays their bills on time and pays it, we're still going to lose the $9 million. So now there's still people who don't pay and all kind of variations that make changes and things happen. But we just want to be prepared. And one thing that I'm very proud of is we have a very healthy cash reserve. So we work with a financial institution that advises us, and they advise us to try to stay between 40 and 50% cash reserve. And I'm very thankful that in all the projects we've got done, everything you've seen amazing happening at the city, we're still at 42% to 45% cash reserve. So if the world came crashing down, we could survive. Like if everything crashed, we could survive. They're telling us from 6 to 8 months and be okay.
That is a very comfortable place to be.
So we're very proud of that, and we want to stay with that. So when people say that, they want to raise or they want me to do all the other kind of stuff, we could technically fund that. We could fund an upside down budget, but for me as a leader, I don't believe that is good and effective government to be able to spend the money just because we have it. We want to make sure we're being responsible and doing the best and making the right decisions, so that the city of Marion is in a better position when I'm gone, whatever that is.
Back to the city services that you were just, the 4 areas, and I'm sure every single person that makes a 911 phone call wants to know that there's going to be somebody there available to respond when they have need, right?
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you're talking about, making sure that there is cash reserve, that if there is a catastrophic something that should take place, that the city has the means to continue funding those essential services that you have to operate and keep order. Yeah, right?
and that's our vision. I mean, I have a great love and passion for all of our employees, and myself included. Everyone, we're one of the lowest paid municipalities in the state. And last year we tried to do a really big corrective action on that and do raises. So had the Senate Bill 1 not passed, we would have been on pace to be able to catch up with our counterparts. So now, because of this passing, this is still going to make us one of the lowest paid municipalities all around the board, from police, fire, street department, transportation, civilian employees, everyone. We're one of the lowest paid, and actually in the top percent of the state. So we want to make sure that we can be in position to be able to retain people, because it's hard to retain talent when the pay is very low, as everyone can understand. So we're at risk of, losing officers and firefighters and et cetera to other cities when they can just, live here and then drive there and make, in some cases, they can drive 30, 45 minutes away and make almost $20,000 more, $25,000 more.
Yes.
So it's always that we're dealing with. So I mean, again, I appreciate them, and everything's tense right now because nobody's got raises. So but I want to try to get the message out as clear as possible that this is just not a the mayor hates the employees, and also it's not the mayor hates the citizen that we want to just tax everyone to death. But we have to find and strike that perfect balance of how do we fund the essential services for the city as well as taking care of all of our citizens in their pocketbooks.
So let me do a really quick, for folks that are listening, this is all new information to them again. So quick little overview and jump in because I might get this wrong. So we've got the potential, we're now seeing the shift with the property tax. We're going to see property tax relief.
Yes.
So for folks who, I was just talking with a pastor prior to the program who is, his parishioners, he's aware of at least 3 individuals, families that they had to make a choice between medication and property tax, and they forewent the medication so they could pay the property tax, right? So they're going to be looking at this saying, oh, great, I have relief. This is going to, but like you were saying, overall, it's about a $200 annual relief that you're going to see. One of the ideas behind why the property tax rates have continually gone up over the last handful of years is market value has just continued to increase.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. I'm sorry. I forgot about that portion of it. So and this is another tough balance to strike. So every time someone sells their house, they want it to be worth everything.
Right, yeah. We want to make this,
But when it's time to accommodate for that worth in paying the taxes, then we want it to be worth nothing.
Right.
So what we've been working hard for as a city is to raise our city's value up. So I don't want to say the exact numbers, also I'll use round numbers. So in 2020, the city of Marion as a whole was worth about $700 or so million. And now in 2025, the city's evaluation is over $1.1 billion. Wow. So we've grown and been able to, all the things that come with it, right? So the great things that we're doing and blight elimination, all the things that we've talked about in all the other episodes have caused the city of Marion is probably to be worth more. And that's what we want. We want growth. But now with growth comes also the other side of that growth. You have to be able to fund it.
Yeah.
So the idea of our homes being worth more is what we want, but also what we don't want at the same time. So it's definitely a tough strike, but balance to strike.
So thank you for that. Yeah, I'm so glad that we had a chance to address that because that's a key component to this. I'm sure there's a lot of other variables. So now we know. I think a big takeaway from this is you're going to get relief in your property tax bill. But it's impacting your city and your county revenues and their abilities and your schools and their ability to provide services. So they're going to have cuts. And because of the restructure has been done the way that it has, now the county, who normally would get 2.55%, they now only get 1.2%, and the city is likely going to have to institute a local income tax rate of up to 1.2%, which is reviewed annually and has to be passed annually. So it can fluctuate over the course of time. So even if you combine the 1.2 of each city and county, you're at 1.4. I'm sorry, 2.4, which is still lower than the 2.55%.
Correct.
Which means no matter how you slice this, the county and the city are taking a hit in terms of income from property taxes. Now, we know that we don't have the data for your income.
Income owners versus property owners.
Yes, property owners versus those that can produce income or make income. So we don't know what that is yet. It's too early. This just happened. So that's going to be a key variable. But if that is potentially the saving bit right there, if you can make more job opportunities and increase the revenue, the median revenue for your community, then there's a possibility that we could end up adapting. So,
and that's another thing that people may not realize about income tax. You pay income based off where you live.
Yes. So
if you live in Marion and work in Eli Lilly in Indianapolis, you pay here. And vice versa. If you live in Kokomo, you work at this GM plant, you pay towards here. So that's why you see a conscious effort for us to be able to improve quality of life and housing, because we need people to want to live here.
Yes.
So where they work at, it's important, right? We want to get more jobs, but in order for us, as a city to be better, we have to get people to want to locate here. And one of the ways, I was just talking to someone yesterday who has a remote job, which is very popular now, and they're making well into six figures.
Yes.
But they're choosing to live here, and they highlighted a few of the amenities why they choose to live here. So what we have to do as a city is to make Marion an attractive place for people to want to locate here. And then after that happens, then we will also be able to attract a job, because as previously in like economic development history, it used to be reversed, right? You would try to get, let's say, X factory, and then people would move to that location because that factory was there. Now it's reversed. When you get the people, then the jobs follow the people.
Yes.
Because people can live wherever they want to live now. And so what our mission is to be able to make Marion an attractive place for people to want to live, and then all the other things that people love and want will follow.
Which takes me to two things. We'll talk about some project updates, because you have been working very hard to invest into the community. And back to the redevelopment commission, the funds that you were referencing earlier that we can use to pour back into projects for the city that could potentially then bring in new employer opportunities.
Yes, new employer opportunities, new living. So if you look at through that project list, when we're doing the Jones Heritage Project, which is workforce to luxury housing, or you see the River Rocks Project, which is luxury housing on the river, those were part of the funding mechanism to make those happen. Not by no means all of the investment, but mainly privately invested. But the Redevelopment Commission did assist to be able to make those happen. When you see things like a splash pad, that's Redevelopment Commission funds. When you see things like some other things we did on that list, even building a new fire station.
Yes, Fire Station 1.
So one of the key elements to bringing in new investments, new jobs, new development is safety, public safety. So when we're attracting these, at this point, tens of millions of dollars of new investment downtown, it's key to have fire safety within reach. So that's why that fire station was so important. That funding came through the Redevelopment Commission. So that's the arm. So now what the state did pass a few years back now is they allow you to be able to fund a portion. They allow you to take some of that money coming from TIF to the Redevelopment Commission and give to public safety. So how we were able to give public safety last year record raises was allocated $200,000 from our TIF to go to public safety. Now there's a percentage you can't use all of it. So I think the percentage is about 15%, and also we can give 15% to schools to be able to help develop. So that's why the Redevelopment Commission gave $150,000 to the Grant County Regional Career Center, because we want to help the next generation learn trades and skills to be able to develop our workforce. So it gives us a few different mechanisms other than development that we can use those funds for.
So we do have some avenues in which we can look at then dealing with this change that the state has sent down the pipe, and some of that is using some of the redevelopment funds.
It's a tough balance, because you still want to have those funds to keep more projects going.
Yes.
Because what's interesting is eventually, I keep using Dollar General because it's one of the larger ones, their 20-year thing is going to expire eventually. So that money is never going to come in anymore. Right. And they're getting close to 20 years, if you remember.
Yeah.
So all those, so this is not perpetual funds. So you have to be very careful about how you even allocate those, because eventually they're going to run out.
Right. That was one of the things that came to my mind as soon as I heard about I thought, we've got all the TIF districts. Do we lose all of the revenue that from those as well? So, well, we need to pause really quick. But when we come back, we're going to take a quick little inventory of some of the many projects that your administration has been juggling, and I know that there's some great progress that's been made. Also, would love to let you share with us a little bit of an exciting idea about maybe concerts over the water. Yeah. We'll talk about that. We're just going to tease everybody with that for a minute, and we'll jump into a few more things as well. Thanks so much for joining us. We're going to take a quick break and be right back with some more Marion Matters with Mayor Morrell.
We will never fully understand what we've asked of you or your families, asking you to put yourself in harm's way, to endure it all. But we do understand that it's our turn, our duty, to keep you secure for the rest of your life. Wounded Warrior Project long-term support programs help our most severely ill or injured veterans live independently, at no cost, for life, so that they might stand at ease. Join us at findwwp.org.
Welcome back to Marion Matters with Mayor Morrell. We are so glad that you're joining us. We're talking about all things pertaining to the city of Marion. And as we alluded to right before the break, we are going to talk about some project updates that have been going on throughout the city of Marion. And before we get into that, Mayor, I want to ask you to share a vision that you have for concerts over the water.
Yes. So music, being a musician myself, I realized how unifying music is. So no matter political beliefs, race, creed, anything, like people unite over music, and I believe that's important. So downtown in our Riverfront district, where we're doing a lot of investment and trying to bring people downtown in our area. I was staying at the JW Marriott in downtown Indianapolis for an event, and I was facing towards the White River, and they have a concert venue right on the river and a pedestrian bridge, and they had some food trucks parked along the bridge. People were walking. They had a festival that was hosted literally on the middle of the water because it was a bridge. So I thought about that. This was probably last year. I said, man, that'd be really cool. And started looking into it, and I got the idea, what if I combined a bridge and a concert stage in the middle of the water? So we started working through it and trying to figure out how we can pull it off to get it done. But I think that if all goes well, this is something we can have in the next couple of years. And that leads me to this kind of segue to what we were talking about before. We have to, one thing I want to kind of be very clear on and reiterate as much as possible is that project money, when you see stuff getting done like this, it's not the same bucket of money that's affected by Senate 1. And sometimes it's hard for my staff or even people to grasp when they say, well, why are you doing projects if you had to cut this? And it's two separate buckets of money, two separate kind of funds, and the project money is earmarked that can only be used for those type of projects. Now, could it be shifted towards different kind of projects? That's kind of my prerogative, what I believe in the vision of the city is going to go, but project funding can only be used for insert some kind of project as opposed to day-to-day operations.
I'm so glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
I think for folks who may be unfamiliar with that concept, it can be a little confusing that there are strings, if you will, attached or rules attached to how you are able to spend certain kinds of revenue. And if you've ever, if any of you've ever been familiar with the grant money, right? And you know that when you submit for funding for a grant, they say yes, and you have to use it for this specific thing, and you can only buy these certain kinds of things or do this certain sort of thing with the funds. It's a very similar situation to what the mayor is talking about. He's got parameters that he has to work within. So it can look very much like, I remember when the Splash House was constructed, right? And the city was experiencing some financial challenges, and everybody was saying, we've got all these hardships and we're building a Splash House. But the funding was another... It was dedicated specifically for that. Exactly.
So, I mean, we have a few different buckets. We have the general fund, which is funds all the public safety, police and fire, and other employees, and it's kind of miscellaneous expenses like that, which is the largest bucket. And then we have transportation, which is our busing department. Then we have our street department, motor vehicle highway. So I can't take money from the motor vehicle highway and pay for anything on transportation. It's against the law. We have a stream for our airport. I can't take airport money and pay general fund. Then we have a stream for our parks. I can't use park revenue to take care of general fund revenue. So all these different buckets have their own dedication that can't be crossed. And then that's just those major funds. And then you have what's called an economic development income tax, which already exists, that can be used for economic development, and we use it for that. And then you have what we already talked about, which is the RDC and TIF revenue that can be used specifically, mainly for projects.
Yes, so you have been using some of the redevelopment commission money to do things like the Buck Sports Complex, right?
Yes.
And that is a couple of basketball courts and a tennis court.
Yes, 2 tennis courts, and one has soccer tennis. And I want to give credit on that too. That was a very generous donation by Julie Moorhead and her family to be that paid well over 90% of that, and we just came in with a little finishing touches.
And so the progress for that, I understand, is coming along.
They're almost there. Yeah, they're rolling along. They should be done within the next month and a half.
Next month and a half. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
So, but within maybe Labor Day or just a little after.
Yes.
What about the pickleball courts? I know that is something
it's such
that
a big
everybody
deal.
loves.
Yeah. So what we've done is doubled our capacity for pickleball, and we're waiting on the striping company for their schedule to clear up, and I'm told that should be started here in September and be done by October. And that was also another thing we did through our redevelopment commission funds.
Talk to me a little bit about the River Rock Loft Apartments.
Yeah, so they're going. If you drive down there, you see the road is closed. And you see they built up the foundation of the apartment complex. So they're working on completing that foundation. They're supposed to be done with all the pad work by October, and then it's supposed to start going vertical with the building late October, early November.
Oh, that's going to be so exciting to watch that come together.
Yeah.
Another thing that I think everybody's excited about is Fire Station 1. You alluded to that earlier, but progress update for that.
They are working. If you drive past it now, all the excavators and machines, there's probably about a 10-foot pile of dirt up there. They're digging and moving stuff, and that one has a 13-month build plan. So they started from now essentially, so 13 months from now they should be done.
So fall, winter 2026.
Yep.
Got it. Okay. Splash pad.
Yes.
Concrete.
The concrete is in. It got delayed because the concrete has colors. This is not just all gray concrete, so it has colors according to the design of the splash pad. So we had to wait on those colors. If you drive past it now, you see the road is closed because they're running the water into it, and that is still, they're still on schedule and projected to be done by the second week in September. So that means we'll probably get maybe two, hopefully 3 weeks of uses out of it this year.
Oh,
and it'll be really going next year.
Well, the weather here stays warm.
Yes, yeah.
Quite a long while. You can have sunny days clear into to October. And I don't know about you, but splash pad as a kid, you don't care if you get a little wet, it's a little cold. Nobody cares, right? So so road paving. Oh gracious, that was another big project that the city took on. Last year it was a huge effort, and a lot was accomplished. And this year again,
it'll be the same. It'll be the same exact effort, just in different parts of the city. So that we put them on a stricter timeline this year. So they're supposed to start mid-September and be done November 1st.
Oh wow!
So it's about a 2.5 month process of just a blitz of getting all the paving done. And we're really thankful for that. This is going to be the last year we get to do it at that capacity because along with Senate Bill 1, the state reduced our matching grant effort. So now it's only going to be matched up to $1 million instead of $1.5 million. So this year we're doing another $3 million of paving, and hopefully next year we'll be able to still get at least $2 million done.
We're thankful that you grabbed the initiative when it was still there.
Yeah.
So you used the word blitz. I thought that was the perfect term in reference to what we saw last year. A blitz took place then, and like you I think you had very clearly explained it to everybody. It was like it's gonna feel like the whole city is under construction.
And it was.
And it was. It truly was. But then afterwards, the roads, the quality of it was such a vast improvement. So again, this year that's going to happen
again.
But it'll be done by November 1st.
That's what they're telling me.
Well, weather permitting, right? We know there's always those variables.
Right.
So riverfront sign.
Yes.
That was something we talked about.
Yeah, we had put that up, and just graciously, a local company, I'll let them announce when they're ready that they volunteered or donated the creation of the sign. Only thing we had to do was pay for the post, and they're going to make the whole entire sign. And they, so I'll let them reveal the design and everything when they're ready. But it's a blessing that we have people who want to get involved and believe in the vision so much so they're willing to donate their time, materials, and all those kind of things.
So exciting to know that that's coming, and that you have a private investment coming in to help make that happen. So City Connect Trail.
Yes.
That's a big project.
It is,
and making the city walkable. Talk to us about that.
So, City Connect Trail, this originally started, not under that name, it originally started under the previous administration. About 2019, they were awarded a grant through a state agency called for Next Level Trails. And this grant, it kind of just froze because at the time the city was not able to come up with the funds to be able to be a portion of the matching. And when I came into office, this project was sitting on my desk, and he said, we got some funding for it, but not the matching portion of it. I mean, we awarded this grant, but we don't have the money to match the grant, and they were just kind of waiting on us. And at the same time, Indiana Wesleyan was awarded about $30 million from Eli Lilly.
Yes.
And being only 2 months in the office, I said, hey, they reached out to me and said, hey, we want you to apply. Well, I didn't have any projects in mind yet other than this one. So we put the application in and we were awarded, I think I'll use round numbers, about $600,000, which then kicked us off to be able to match that grant. And the city's in on a minimal investment on it. I think at this point we're about a couple $100,000 in. So through the Redevelopment Commission.
Yes.
And this allowed for us to be able to pull off this amazing grant funded project to promote health, wellness, safe places for people to ride their bikes and wheelchairs or electric sit-down motorized disabled scooters, and which is has been a problem for us because you see people riding them in the middle of the street and all kinds of things. So we want to do this not only for recreation but for safety for people. So that project is near its completion, and they'll be going back and patching the things up and redoing the streets here before the year's out.
So that is going to be very exciting to see when it's completed.
Yeah.
And I think the walkability and the connection that that's going to create for our city is going to be very transformative.
Yeah.
It's going to be significant. Also, citywide cleanup. That's something where the citizens are able to get involved. You've got one coming up in August, and you have one in September.
Yes.
And you've already had several other cleanups over the course of the warm weather months. That's going well. You're having great turnouts.
And people love it. I mean, because I try to go to every single one, and people are just enthusiastic. I've never seen so many people happy about throwing away trash.
Yes,
it's a great time, and I encourage anyone who hasn't been this Saturday, bring your trash out, and we'll do everything we can to help make sure our city is clean.
So you got in August the 16th, and then you have the last one's going to be September 20th.
Yes.
And those are cleanup days. So folks, if you want more information on that, you can go to the city website. We've got the website up there for you to take a look at, and you can get the dates and the locations and what's permitted. There are some limitations, like no Freon, there's certain things that just for safety's sake that aren't going to be permitted. But for the most part, anything that you need, you can get that disposed of. You even have your own merch for this, right? There's a merch store, right? You can get the t-shirts.
You can get your shirts, and this is if I was to coin this administration, this would be our thing. Clean City 2.0. We want to do everything we can, and I can say every effort that we've done, even though it might not be direct, it's an ancillary effort to make sure our city's clean.
It all goes right back into Marion deserves nice things.
Yes.
That's been kind of your theme for a long time now, and it shows. And I think the takeaway from what we've talked about today with the impact of Senate Bill 1 and how that's going to definitely reduce revenue for city and county. There are, though, creative avenues that the city and the county can do to look for ways to make up the difference, and that is investing in your community so that it is a place that people want to live and work.
Yeah.
And that is, I think, probably the key right there. And you've done such a wonderful job outlining that for us and helping us to understand. And I really hope, folks, that you take this information that Mayor Morrell has graciously shared with us and forward that on to folks that you know, so that we can get people educated, so that folks can understand why things are happening the way they are, and where the funds come from and why they're used the way that they are. A lot of details in today's program, and I think it would be very helpful if you just share it with at least one person that you know. And you can find that if you're watching us here on television, on WSOT TV, you can find it on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel, WSOT. It's at YouTube. And you will find this video and some video shorts there that you can give little segments to friends and family that may have questions about why things are the way that they are. Well, Mayor, thank you for taking the time to visit with us, bring us up to date on all the amazing work in progress that's happening, and help us understand some of those drastic changes that the state's sending our way.
Yes. Yep. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
We appreciate you. And we appreciate you. Stay tuned for some more family programming that you can trust right here on WSOT TV.